Hey everyone, welcome to the Industry Show. I'm your host, Nitin Bajaj, and joining me today is Sudhir Chadalavada. Sudhir, welcome on the show.
Thank you, Nathan. Pleasure to be on the show with you.
The pleasure is all ours.
Thank
So tell us who's Sudhir.
you. Tell us who's Sudhir. I guess if it's two words, global citizen,
Mhm.
to use the word right now. But I have to say, Nathan, growing up in India, I'd always felt like that. India is a microcosm of the global world, as you know. We are a country with so many religions, languages, cultures, and ethnicities. And I just loved it. I was at home with it. Being inclusive and objective is what came naturally to me. And ever since I've known myself, since a very young age, I've just been fascinated by two things, which could actually be one. How do you lead a fulfilling, wonderful, wholesome, full life? What are the keys to do that? How do you actually do it?
Mhm.
Well, in our culture, I guess they call it enlightenment.
Yes.
What does that really mean? How do you do it? And the other question, which really, I wouldn't say tormented, but I was really curious about is how does one become an inspiring and effective leader and connect with people? I have no idea, Nathan, where it came from, but this is what drove me since I've known myself. That's really who I am. And I've been on that quest for a long, long time. And here we are. Now I'm living that dream, having got the keys to what those are. Now I'm in the business of helping people achieve that, primarily focused on business leaders. I would say that's who I am. I grew up in that environment. I'm at ease in diversity.
Mhm.
I'm a product of diversity. In my own family, for example, I have two grandmothers who influenced me. One of them is a devout, calm, quiet Hindu, and another one is a converted Christian who was a preacher. So I have both of those tendencies in me.
Yes.
So that's in a nutshell who I am.
You were set on this path.
I was, yeah, I was. It's
So,
almost like I was chosen. Did I choose it or was I chosen? Is the million-dollar question,
yes.
right?
But you were meant for this path, and here you are enlightening others with what you have realized and come to realize over the years. Right? You have gained that wisdom, and we are so thankful that you're here to share it with our audience. So
Thank you.
tell us, what is CEO Mastery Journey?
Yeah, I would say, just to complete that thought, Nathan, is I would say if I can do it, anybody can do it. Some of us are daunted by these words of enlightenment and
Mhm.
inspiring and effective. Is inspiring even important for a business leader? Isn't it all about profit and money and motivation and pushing? But I'm here to say, just not only dream big, we can achieve it. It's all within us. We have that capacity to do it. So, what is CEO Mastery Journey? It's connected to this, right? So, we are all familiar with professional mastery. The leaders that I work with have professional mastery. These are folks who have worked really hard and mastered their craft, be it in finance as a banker,
Mhm.
or in technology, or manufacturing, or accounting. It doesn't matter. So that's professional mastery.
Mhm.
And by definition, almost everybody I work with have mastered their craft. But in order to lead a fulfilling life and in order to be an extraordinary leader, to get the most out of your people and unlock the full value of the organization, you need two other dimensions:
Yes.
personal mastery and organizational mastery. So
Mhm.
CEO mastery is that journey. We're all CEOs of our own lives,
Mhm.
right? The journey we take to master those three areas. Professional as a successful leader, I think we are almost already there. The two other dimensions are professional and organizational. So, in a nutshell, what does personal mastery mean? It is the ability really to be fully present, passionate, and on all the time, no matter what's going on around us. Right? We're constantly bombarded with all kinds of events and people that bother us, distract us, which make us angry, upsetting, disappointing, happy, etc. All kinds of emotions, right? But we have the innate ability to master that and be calm, passionate, and focused on the task at hand. So that I would call personal mastery. So organizational mastery is taking it another level. that in itself, while is inspiring, is not sufficient
True.
to inspire people to be their best. So this is the ability to connect with people, not just at the level of the mind, but the heart and the spirit. So now you're wholesomely connected with the person and inspire them to give the best they can. You do that yourself in personal mastery and inspire others through organizational mastery. And that's what I do. When I work with business leaders, they have the opportunity to demonstrate and implement all of these in a
Mhm.
business organizations. I think that's the beauty of the world we are living in. You can achieve all of that in a business organization.
So true. And, you know, it's a worthy cause, but I could imagine it's extremely challenging. Right? Easier said than done. The
Right,
people you work with,
right.
as a common man, I get bombarded with so many distractions and things that, take me away from what I need to be to master my own being. And as a CEO, leading an organization and hundreds and thousands of people that depend on you for those decisions, I can only imagine what kind of pressures and what kind of distractions the CEO faces. And for you to be able to guide them through those, that's quite a daunting task.
It's fascinating. It's I get inspired by it, to be honest with you, Nathan.
Yeah.
On paper, it could sound daunting, but it really gets my creative juices going. And it's inspiring. It's just a beautiful experience. I feel like I'm in that peak performance flow. And it's really true for anybody, right? So when you find your passion and purpose, you could be an artist or an actor or whoever you are, even as a CEO or as a coach, it's no longer daunting, but it's inspiring. You're kind of curious. Even if you have a difficult challenge, let's say, I immediately become curious.
Mhm.
And there's no end to the challenges
Right.
and no end to opportunities. So the curiosity and innovation is constantly on, even while working with people.
Very well said. Tell us about a challenge that you're facing right now.
The challenge I would say I face in general is to I talked about the mastery, right? So we are talking about successful leaders,
Mhm.
and maybe I want to introduce a term, success paradox here.
Mhm.
The CEOs I work with, and a lot of them are very successful financially,
Right.
high IQ, and they have professional mastery. So what got them here is not sufficient to take them to the next level.
Mhm.
Now, this is what I call this one-dimensional success, Nathan. And what comes with it is the baggage of
Yes.
loneliness, not being fulfilled, stressed, having an organization which is not fully firing on all the cylinders, not fully engaged, right? So this is natural, this is normal.
Mhm.
And very few have the opportunity to actually share that and combine with it the fact that as a CEO, you're supposed to be this inspiring, confident, courageous leader. But these are the self-doubts you have. This is the loneliness you feel. These are the concerns you have, right? So to believe that it's possible for us to master our craft, not only our craft, but be that person, personal mastery I talked about.
Mhm.
And you don't have to look back in history like Abraham Lincoln or Mahatma Gandhi to be inspiring leader. You can be that yourself as a CEO, as a common person. So one of the challenges, actually, believe it or not, is to actually make them believe it. That
Mm.
yes, you can do it. If I can, you can.
Yeah.
Right. So that's one of the challenges. The other I would say is now that I have followed the keys to it, there is an excitement which I have to control to lead them quick as fast as I want to lead them to
Mhm.
go, right? But that's not what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to meet them where they are,
Right.
work at their pace, and lead them, right? That's another challenge. The third challenge I face, Nathan, which is unique to me, I think, because I'm just not a coach, I like being the leader,
Mm.
and I developed those skills of being a CEO and being a leader. Sometimes, I'm tempted to do the work for them,
Yeah.
right? Which is that's not what it's supposed to do, right? You're as a coach, you're a partner, of course, you're a friend, a guide, student of their life,
Mhm.
and teach them on the way, and you have to hold them accountable. be tough on them because they rarely find anybody in their lives, personal organizational lives, who hold them accountable. Maybe they're held accountable to the results, but results is an afterthought, right? In order to get the results, you need to have the right process. You need to have the right mindset, which is the personal mastery.
Right.
And that's where I come in. And I would say is a fascinating challenge I face. And looking for folks who are believers and who are on that journey. As you said earlier, this most people feel that this is challenging and maybe not even possible. Scientists and social scientists and researchers say maybe about 10 to 15% of the population today among the leaders are operating at that space. Let's call that self-actualized space, servant leadership, conscious leadership, enlightened leadership, right? So, but it's rapidly growing. The beauty of the times you're living in is that more and more people evolving to that. And I think that will be the new normal. Conscious capitalism, stakeholder capitalism will be the new normal. So my challenge and opportunity is to work with those guys, be open to those folks and reach out to them. And how I want to maximize in reaching out to people and provide as much value as I can. And I constantly wonder, Nitin, is what's the best way to do it? Should I give keynotes, have interviews like this, seminars, workshops, or actually be part of a leadership team, which I am in rare cases, and I build an organization, right? So I'm constantly dealing with opportunities like that and would like to maximize my impact and be of service to people.
It's almost like you read my mind, which I'm not surprised by because that's what you do for a living. My next question was going to be, what is an opportunity that you're working on right now? But let me also ask you a little more about who your clients are. If you can give us a flavor for, yes, these are leaders and CEOs, but if you can tell us a little more about who these people are.
Right. Great question, Nathan. Firstly, my work is industry agnostic, right? It's people's business. A leader of any organization, it could be technology, finance, banking, retail, pharmaceuticals, and frankly, that's the spectrum of leaders and CEOs I work with. The second thing is a hierarchical organization, a business organization, can only rise as much as the top person.
Right.
A CEO, or if it's a private company, an owner. So my focus is there, right? You can have people underneath you who are more intelligent than you are, and you should, right? Younger, intelligent, sharper. But in terms of emotional intelligence and spiritual intelligence, which is about seeking and purpose, that's what I would call spiritual, it cannot rise above the leader in a hierarchical organization, which a business organization is. So the folks I work with are, either owners of private organizations or CEOs or both, and the executive teams. So two of the clients that come to mind right away, I think you've spoken to one of them and probably speaking to the other. Anand Gala is one of them.
Yes, love him.
And I remember my first meeting with him about 6 years ago. And I said, "Hey, Anand, what's your purpose?" And he was like, "Oh, that's easy. So there, I want to make a difference." Right? So from the 6 years later, working on the path to make a difference. Right? People who know me call me the how-to guy. So you have a dream, you have a passion, you have a purpose.
Right.
My goal is to help you get there.
Right.
As a conscious leader, right? So one of the things we need to overcome, most leaders, especially conscious leaders, have to overcome is you can be a wonderful human being, an evolved human being, a humble human being, a humble leader, and be extraordinarily successful, profitable and successful. And believe it or not, that's one of the blocks people have. And that's the area I work on with folks. So Anand is a good example of a conscious owner. I expect him to be a material and a spiritual billionaire. That's the goal, because you want to set a goal and be inspirational and impactful. I work with the CEO, Tim. We hired another wonderful young gentleman, Tim Cook, who's fantastic. And the requirements to be exceptional are basically very simple: desire, curiosity, and the basic foundation of what I call one-dimensional success. These are folks who have mastered their craft, have the right training, and want to take it to the next level. So I've been working with them for quite a while, and we are on a fantastic journey, ready to take it to the next level. It's ideal because now I work with the owner and the CEO, COO.
Right.
It's a perfect combination. Another private organization I work with is a bank. Of all the people, I was surprised that one of my biggest fans and one of my best clients was a banker, a CEO of a bank. At that time, a community bank, but now a much larger, almost $2 billion
Mm-hmm.
bank. That's Ash Patel. I've been working with him for almost 10 years now.
Yeah.
A successful entrepreneur, a banker who wants to evolve to the next level. In this situation, it's a little rare. Not only am I a coach and a partner for Ash, but I actually work as if I'm a pseudo officer of the bank. I work with the executive team. He has a wonderful core team of people. Kitty, the CFO, Chris is the chief credit officer, and Neil, the chief risk officer. I work with them closely, and we have regular core strategic cultural leadership meetings.
Mm-hmm. Those are some wonderful examples, and I know both of them, and big fan of their work. And it just gets a perspective of the level at which you get into the fabric and get to shape and define it, which is amazing, right?
Thank you. Thank you.
One is to influence from the top, and which is needed and important, like you said, helping set the bar higher, but at the same time being able to create that influence and that percolate that across the culture.
Right. Exactly. And the other thing they have in common, Nathan, is the diversity that I talked about. Right. So these are folks who have that unique combination of not just intellect and emotion, but and I say that most successful leaders and inspiring leaders are ambiverts, introverted and extroverted, ability to go inwards because leadership is an inner journey and to express it outside. And the folks I work with seem to have this unique combination of introvertedness or an inner wisdom of an Easterner and practicality of a Westerner.
Nice.
Right? Everybody I mentioned is like that. Right? So Tim is a Westerner, but he has that ability to learn, to meditate, to self-inquire, and go within. And Anand is an example of Indian parents born in America, right? That perfect combination. And Kitty is a CFO, a Western woman who goes inwards. I think it was Dalai Lama who said a few years ago that the world would be saved by the Western woman. I think what he meant by that is this ability to have intellect and emotion, which the modern women depict very well. Right. But it's true for a lot of other people. All the new CEOs, like Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella is another great example of that. Oh, yes. Having both. So those are, I think, one of the questions you were asking me earlier was about who is my target customer. Yes. It's these folks, right, who are curious, who have that background and want to take it to the next level.
Great. So let's switch gears. We talked about a few of your successes. Let's talk about you. And the way we want to do this is through a series of one-line life lessons that have come to shape, define, or help you in becoming who you are.
Right.
So I'm going to hand it back over to you to share some of those lessons with us.
I love that question, Nitin. And a great influence in my life has been Bhagavad Gita. Mm-hmm. And I probably should start with the Sanskrit quote. It says, Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbhuhu ma te sangostva karmani. It means you have not only control, your right is only to action and not on the results. So stay focused on the action. Now, don't let the fruit be your motive. Mm-hmm. Neither should you be attached to inaction. It's so appropriate in a modern results-driven society and world that we live in. Now you could say, "Hey, Sudhir, that sounds wonderful, but I'm a CEO. At the end of the day, I'm judged by my results." Now, what do you mean I shouldn't be attached to the results? right? It sounds paradoxical, but it's amazing how beautiful it works. If you look at it, it's more true, more apparent among coaches and sports coaches, for example,
Mhm.
right? They keep preaching, focus on the fundamentals,
Yeah.
stick to the basics, stick to the process, play hard, play by the rules, wins and losses will take care of themselves. Exactly true in a business organization.
Mhm.
Except, we need to change the way we measure our results. And that's what I work on with these guys in this organization. How do we evaluate results? And how do we evaluate people? And how do we evaluate the success of the organization? It's fairly easy to do once we change the mindset. So I would say that's the focus by focusing on the process and right action,
Mhm.
which also comes from Bhagavad Gita, dharma, right action.
Right.
I'm just fascinated by that. Being an action-oriented type A personality and the kind of people I work with,
Yeah.
I feel that this does the job perfectly.
I love
So
it.
that would be one of the one-liners. The other one I would say, Nitin, is business leaders have the most impact in the world today. In the last 200 years, I would say power has shifted
Mhm.
from religious leaders to military to political and now business. So we have a much larger responsibility. And the challenges we are facing socioeconomically, I would say, such as inequality or inability to provide high quality healthcare and education, I would say the solutions for that are based on conscious leadership,
Mhm.
right? In a society, if I may just switch gears for a minute here from a business organization to a larger social entity, be it our country, US, or the world, the socioeconomic challenges we are facing is really based on leadership,
Mhm.
right? Because what type of economy do we need to have in order to fix inequality? What type? So there are enough bright minds, there are enough solutions, there are enough options. All we need is not be wedded to a particular ideology.
Right.
Be open to two possibilities. For example, in terms of economy,
Mhm.
obviously socialism and communism has failed, and the way we are practicing capitalism, some call it crony capitalism or non-inclusive, greedy or unequal capitalism, is obviously not working very well. So the answer is picking the best of the both,
Mhm.
right? So one things I would like to say is communism and socialism had two problems, right? One is lack of meritocracy and the inequality. I
Mhm.
think we kind of fixed the meritocracy problem through the way we practice capitalism, but inequality has not been solved, has not been fixed, because we need to bring that compassion, inclusiveness, humility, curiosity into the business world, into the society, to balance what we already have in abundance:
Mhm.
passion, drive, intellect, authority, ambition, greed, ego, if you will. We have that in plenty, but they can't drive us. Like who was it? I don't know if it was Newton or Einstein who said, ego cannot be the driver.
Right.
Emotion and heart should be driving us. Ego should be in service.
Mhm.
So that's another one-liner I like a lot. So the purpose of business, I would say, is to fix socioeconomic challenges, not just to be a profitable organization, is to promote an economy that serves all stakeholders, not just the shareholders, not just the owners, not just the customers, not even just the employees, but everybody.
Mhm.
And the great news, Nitin, is the world has woken up to that. I don't know if many people observed this. A landmark event happened towards the end of 2019. The Business Roundtable,
Yep.
which has in its ranks the top CEOs in the
Mhm.
world, have made that statement.
Yep.
It's a stunning statement almost to say that stakeholder capitalism is the way to go, that shareholder capitalism has not served. That's the good news.
Yes.
The not so good news is even folks who have said it do not quite know how to get there. Right? And that's where I come into the picture, the how-to guy. How do you shift your mindset? How do you evaluate? Because business is business, it's the same thing. Every business has to make a decision. You have to communicate effectively. You need to have purpose. You need to evaluate people. You need to compensate them. But how you do it is huge difference and a shift
Mhm.
between a stakeholder-centric organization and a shareholder-centric
Mhm.
organization. It completely changes the game. That's where the magic is. That's where I come into play. The other one I would like is we can continue to talk about this is empathy, gratitude, compassion, for example. We know for sure is key to a happy life.
Mm-hmm.
Is a key to good relationships. But what we are discovering and actually hopefully implementing it more is, I would say it's the key to business performance. It's the key to building an amazingly successful business organizations. I think one of my goals is to help leaders not only understand that, but to live it, right? And the other thing I do, Nathan, is in helping leaders evolve,
Mm-hmm.
I talk about making the shift from a self-centered leader. This is the success paradox that I talk about. This is not a judgment or anybody. We all have to evolve from being self-centered to self-actualized.
Right.
When we are self-centered, we focus on profit, right? We talk about compassion, we talk about purpose, but we focus on profit and passion. And that sends a mixed message unconsciously. And that's the reason why we have such low engagement levels in business organizations. That's why stress is so rampant, because these are unconscious mistakes most leaders make. They mean it, they intend it, but their focus and evaluation and how they reward people is based on profit, on passion, on intellect, not necessarily on collaboration. Your value may be collaboration,
Mm-hmm.
but at the end of the day, it's like, Nathan, I know you're a good team player, you helped out Sudhir, but I'm going to judge you on your results. What did you do? Right? So that you got to fix that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's one I like very much. And maybe at a personal level, I would say the key to a joyful and successful, inspiring life is not absence of difficulties, not absence of problems, but it's the ability to deal with them, which we constantly face. Nobody can escape that.
Yes.
Right? The not so good news is the wiser you get, the more you grow up, the tougher the challenges. They don't go away for you. So you better get equipped and keep learning continuously.
I love that one. And yeah, you're right. We cannot control if the problems are going to come at us. And the more we evolve as human beings, the level of challenges that we get to, I guess, take on also increases.
Right.
That's for people like you who get motivated by these challenges. It's a good thing, but at the same time, there's that need for perseverance and being relentless and having that understanding of this is this is what we got to do.
Right. And it comes naturally, Nathan. Peak performance becomes natural when you have a passion and you have purpose, you feel purposeful, and that really wakes you up and it drives you. And leaders I work with, are that way. And some of them, in fact, are not necessarily even that fit, right? Physically, they all want to get there as they get older. They work harder. Sometimes they don't have or don't take the time to do it. But the passion comes through, the energy comes through. It just lights them up. So peak performance, I would say, is a natural state, and we all have that. We just have to release it and unlock that and unleash it.
Perfect. Sudhir, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for taking the time. We really appreciate it. And good luck to you and all of your CEOs as you help them transition over and transcend into realizing their full potential.
Thank you, Nathan. It's been wonderful. Love your questions and your demeanor, and happy to reach your viewers and be of help and be of service. Really enjoyed it.
So much, Sudhir.
Thank you.